念书真的有这么好
Why did you choose to study in Canada?
It makes me have to go out of my comfort zone.
I don't like the idea that one exam can decide your life.
Like, I didn't have to take an entrance exam to come here.
Asian students have an upper hand because I think it's way too easy for Canadians here.
The priorities here are not what I was expecting. Here, people sleep very early. Being away from home and families can be quite challenging. When I went to bed alone, I think about my families a lot and I get homesick.
常常看到许多报章杂志和媒体都把加拿大列为国际学生间最受欢迎的留学选择之一，优点包含生活费用合理、课程选修灵活、求学环境良好等等，这听起来简直就是太官宣了。为了不盲目相信各大网站的片面报道，我要来替大家找寻最真实的答案，因为所以择日不如撞日，直接问当事人最准。嗨，我是飞妈。是的，如果你觉得背景熟悉，那是因为我还在 UBC，跟上一集是同一个地点。上一集是测试 UBC 学生的聪明程度，那刚好遇到的都是很多是国际学生，那所以你们就会看到在这一集里面会出现很多跟上一集是同一些的人物，因为我都厚脸皮，让他们继续待着陪我做这一集，讲的是效率呀。而且这集其实也是应观众朋友许愿而拍的一集，只要我能力所及，我一定会努力的去拍出来给大家看。所以看在我这么宠粉的情况下，先给这支影片点个赞吧，不会花到你们多少力气哦。话不多说，直接进入访谈。
Where are you from?
I'm from China. So I moved here in grade 10 to the island, on the island, our girls' school. So I spent 3 years on the island.
And what is the reason for coming to Canada to study?
I prefer the educational systems here because China has a really large population and it's very competitive and people have to pass a really big exam to get to high school and another really big exam to get to uni. I don't like the idea that one exam can decide your life, basically. Here it's all accumulative, you learn as you go and everything counts. Every step and every effort you take makes sense.
Where are you from?
We are from Indonesia.
Are you friends or?
We are twins.
Oh, you're twins. No wonder you look alike. So you both made it to UBC.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Why did you choose to study in Canada or UBC in general?
UBC has a very good environment. And also, it's quite far. It makes me have to go out of my comfort zone. I think it's very international student friendly. There is already Indonesian student association here. If I feel homesick, I know that there's gonna be people from my country, so I don't feel that.
Oh, where are you from?
Originally from India, but I've also stayed in other countries like Indonesia and Cyprus for most of my life. When it came to looking at engineering universities, I was looking for something that was definitely international friendly and also not as expensive as the States or maybe Australia. Canada fits in well. I wouldn't say it's very affordable for international students, but I think it's more on the affordable side.
So why UBC in particular?
Well, I did have other opportunities in U of T and McGill and stuff, but I got into engineering at UBC, U of T and McGill. What I got into in those universities weren't exactly my top choices. So I love Vancouver. I love that you have the mountains and the beach right next to you. Also, it doesn't get too cold.
I'm from Finland.
Why did you choose Canada as your study destination?
UBC is very quite popular. I think it's second in Canada, very prestigious and good university. I also have never lived properly in North America, especially on the West Coast. So I feel like that'd be a cool experience. And then I just heard very good things about Vancouver in general. So.
Well, I grew up in Dubai, but I'm originally Lebanese. I really like UBC as a university. I mean, it's one of the top in Canada. I like the programs that was offered here. I also conveniently had a family member that attended here and she was really having a good time.
Oh, okay.
So I came. Also, Vancouver is amazing. Vancouver is the best city in Canada.
Oh,
No doubt.
Toronto, have you heard of that?
Toronto's nice, but Vancouver is unparalleled. It's so expensive and impossible to live here, but it's amazing.
What is the difference between Dubai and Canada's education system?
The school system was very intense and rigorous. A lot of exams, a lot of competition. For university, most of the people I know moved out. So I think the demand for higher education is higher here. A lot of people want to come to Canada to study university here.
Instead of staying in Dubai.
Yeah.
So the education system in Dubai is competitive and focuses on mostly on academics.
Yeah.
So grades matter in
lot.
Dubai.
Yeah. Most of the schools there are private. It's not very common to go to a public school. So to even get into the private schools, you have to be of a certain level.
In Finland, it's hard to get into many studies. It's very difficult, very competitive. But once you're in, then it's a very, very good education system. I have a friend who applied to psychology, said it was extremely difficult and was studying for like a year in order to do the exam to get in. And there's like prerequisites that you really have to reach. Like I didn't have to take an entrance exam to come here, so that was kind of nice. But you do have to meet other prerequisites, right?
What is the difference between Indonesian university or college and here in Canada?
Very different. In Indonesia, it's about like the teachers and you have to memorize what the teacher says. You don't really participate that much. But like here, I see that the students always like raise their hands and they always like give opinions. So that's like quite a difference.
This is a huge stigma around like Indian universities that they focus a lot on textbook information, at least applicable for high school, where you could like just mug up the entire textbook and maybe ace your exams. But I feel like that's not the case here. If you don't understand some of the concepts, you like have to really put an effort to understand what you're doing. More of like applying your knowledge into real life situations and like real life problems. Just memorizing isn't gonna get you too far ahead.
It's a common thing in Asia. Almost every Asian country, they have this kind of taking tests, bumping out the grades, and then you can get in a university and then you go from there. But in here, I think comprehension skills is more important than basically just memorizing and getting good grades.
That's for Canadian universities, but like my sister, she's in high school right now. I think it's way too easy for Canadians here. I have a few Canadian friends and they've had a really difficult time transitioning from high school to university, which I think in this case, Asian countries have an upper hand because it's pretty difficult. And it is what my sister is learning in 10th grade right now is something that I learned in India in like 8th grade.
When I first came here, I thought, why is all math so easy, right?
Yeah.
Like for those students, I still need to kind of use a pen and pencil to calculate. I could just say out loud, like
in my head,
using my head, right?
I think it's okay though, because I know Canadian high school focus a lot on extracurricular and then a lot on community service, which is really good for university. So in India, it's just like, oh, study. You don't have to do anything else but study. You can't sit down and compensate for it.
In Indonesia, you pick your major right away. When you apply to the university, you also apply to the exact major you're gonna take. In UBC, like you apply to arts or science and then declare your major later. That's not what happens in Indonesia. I like your system better because like you get to explore your options more. If you have to pick your major right after high school, like you just putting yourself in a world that you don't really know. It's a decision that's gonna affect maybe like the rest of your life.
What is the biggest challenge when you first came here, all the way from China?
For a lot of people, language can be their big challenge. But for me, I didn't really have a language barrier when I came. I guess just getting to know each other, being away from home and families can be quite challenging. When I went to bed alone at night, I think about my families a lot and I get homesick. But it's getting better. Like it's my 6th year, so I'm getting used to it.
I was actually pretty privileged and like blessed to have quite a few family friends here when I moved from India to Canada. I was picked from the airport, utilities given to me like a bedsheet and some cooking utensils. For international students specifically, it's like a bit difficult staying away from home for so long and like adjusting to new weather, adjusting to a new environment. I think this is a transition from like moving to a different country.
Is there any challenge that you faced when you first moved to here?
Getting used to the culture here. Vancouverites, people who are from Vancouver kind of stick to themselves. So maybe it's difficult to make friends.
Making like friends, it's a big university and you don't get to meet the people, so it's tough.
But you've only been here for a month.
Yeah.
So there's still a lot of time. You're just beginning to explore. And how about you? Same or?
Yeah, that too, but it's also the weather, I think. Indonesia is a tropical country, so we don't really experience cold that much. It's gonna be winter soon, like we have to adapt to the cold.
Honestly, the culture shock was big. Just the way life is conducted, the priorities here are not what I was expecting, not what I was used to. Here, people sleep very early. Like the day ends at 7 p.m. Throughout the year, like if you go out at night at 10 p.m., most things are closed. You know, that's not the norm there at all.
That's not the case in Dubai?
Yeah, it's not.
The party life and nightlife in Dubai is
not just party,
amazing.
like, it's even like just dinner. Like people go out to eat at like 10, 11 p.m. Here, you can't find any food past 7 or 8.
How much do you spend on tuition in Canada or in UBC here?
Tuition is quite high compared to locals. It's like almost 10 times higher. One semester, $20,000.
So how
that's 40 something.
On a daily basis, how do you plan around your budget?
My family pays my tuition because there's no way I try to work as much as I can, but there's just no way I can afford the whole tuition myself. If I'm local, I can, but I'm international, I can't. I have 2 jobs, so I get paid both on campus and off campus.
How do you plan your budget around campus life?
I keep my budgeting for every month. So this month I get to spend this much for what I want, and I get to spend this much for like groceries, and like the rest I have to keep.
Does it come from your parents or scholarships or
Scholarship.
My personal problem was like, eating out a lot here on campus. Food here is so unaffordable, like on a day-to-day basis. So I just would start eating at home more, prepping my food so that I could eat on campus from home. Eat at home is the way to go.
overall, how has your learning experience so far at UBC?
It's good. It's very, very different from the island, from my high school. Because in uni, one lecture is like 200 students. So versus one prof, you're not going to get a lot of attention. Everything depends on you. You have to be organized and make plans what you're going to do every day because no one's going to take care of you. And you have to be like very independent and take care of yourself. But the profs are really nice. Like you can go to office hours and you can ask them tons of questions. They're nice people. I really love them.
Right now, I'm still like really enjoying the like UBC life. As of now, I'm not like homesick that much because I'm kind of used to like being away from my family. I also have like many friends from Indonesia as well. Keeps me from having like homesickness. I really like the professors. They make it fun to study, but I do miss the food and like the cheap prices of Indonesia. It's really expensive here.
It's been great. I like it. I love Vancouver. I would definitely recommend it to anyone willing to come here, but you have to learn how to like, get yourself comfortable and get into uncomfortable situations, like being okay with meeting different people. Like most of my good friends are in Gilbert. And having fun and going outside, getting some sun.
And enjoy life.
Enjoying class, yeah.
I really liked it. My master's was thesis based, so it was only maybe 3 or 4 courses. It's a lot of like getting yourself to just write your thesis, you know, every now and then a course here and there, but the workload is sort of on you and you have to make your own schedule. So I liked it a lot. There was tons of freedom. I could just hang out on this beautiful campus all the time. But then sometimes I really had to tell myself, okay, go to the library and like get your stuff done.
I actually came late because I was a COVID student.
Oh, and how was your experience back then during COVID?
It was bad. Like, it wasn't the best because before university started, UBC was just like asking me like, we need you to confirm if you're gonna be online or in person. We took a risk for booking like my flights from India to Canada towards end of September. At that point, I hadn't gotten my visa yet. So all visa processes were like late because of COVID.
But you bought the ticket already?
We bought the ticket already. But luckily, I think I got my visa 2 days before leaving. So it was cutting really close.
Yeah, it was good. It started off a bit tough. I came in 2020 during COVID. Life was very different. My first semester ever I was actually still in Dubai, so I was taking my classes at night. We have a 12-hour difference. So the classes would be over Zoom, but for me it would be 1 a.m.
Oh wow, that's hard.
Watching my lectures at 1 a.m. That's why in the second semester I moved here. I was like, oh, you know, the time zone will help. But then when I was here, it was very isolating and lonely because I didn't really know anyone. But then once everything opened back up and you got to meet people, it was much better. My community was so much better.
I see.
看来在加拿大读书还真的是有它吸引人的地方呢。希望看完这集，大家能更了解这边读书的优缺点咯。以上就是国际学生的访谈内容，还有什么影片想要飞妈拍的，就在底下留言。我们下期见啦，拜拜。